Score more for less with our NK News Shop discount campaign. Ready to upgrade your wardrobe with some unique flair? At the NK News Shop, podcast listeners buying any 2 items from our t-shirt or hoodie collections will snag their third for half off. Whether you're eyeing our North Korea-themed gear for yourself or as gifts, now is the perfect time to act. Don't miss out. Head to shop.nknews.org and make the most of this limited time offer. That's shop.nknews.org. Hello listeners and welcome to the NK News Podcast. I'm your host Jacco Zwetsloot and today it is August the 12th. It's a Tuesday and I'm here in the studio with Jeongmin Kim. Jeongmin, welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with some defection stories. Most listeners may not know this, but it was back in the 1990s that defection stories were really what got me interested in North Korea. That and propaganda. How do you encourage someone to defect, and then what motivates somebody, and how do their lives go afterwards?
What the trigger is.
Yeah, what's the trigger, and how do their lives go? Now, we've got 2 different stories, but the theme is the same. It's defection. So first of all, we've got a betrayal story, a sad defection story. So tell us that one.
Well, it's apparently, according to police, they won't give us much details about this because it's under investigation, the case, but a female defector in her 70s apparently leaked or sold the information about other defectors in South Korea to North Korean secret police. So she's being investigated for that.
Boisong?
Yes, Boisong.
Right.
Right, but it seems like the charges are related to the National Security Act of being tasked by the North Korean authority to play a certain role in South Korea. And in this case, it looks like the defector in her 70s leaked the location of specific defectors in South Korea.
Ooh, okay. Now, why would somebody do something like that?
Well, in the past, when there were similar cases...
Right, because this is not, we should point out to listeners, this is not the first time something like this has happened.
Yeah, not the first time. It's sometimes either about instructing other defectors, or it's complete opposite. It's often about attempting to threaten the families who are still in North Korea based on the location and other information of the defectors based in South Korea.
So tell us about the first one. Did you say instructing other defectors?
Right. So I think there were cases in the past where they were trying to find the potential remaining comrades in South Korea so that they can make use of it. But this is more rare. More often, it's about threatening the families in North Korea so they can make use of it and take advantage of them.
Wow. Now, I'm a great fan of comic books, of course, and the South Korean comic book series, the Rodong Shinmun, not Shinmun like the newspaper, but Shinmun, they started off as a webtoon by North Korean defector cartoonist Choi Sung-guk, and in his books, it's got a 3-volume series, and one of the subplots there is indeed a defector who comes here and is then manipulated by the Boisong through his family back home to basically try to sell out other defectors. So
right, exactly something like that.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite different from a similar case last year where South Korean authorities arrested a civilian employee of the Defense Intelligence Command for leaking RK military secrets, for instance, including list of spies or alleged Chinese agent in exchange for money. So these sort of activity under the National Security Act would be considered espionage. But the act of just leaking information of North Korean defectors, it would be serving the pursuit of a anti-state organization's objectives, which is 목적 수행 in National Security Act. So the intent is different. So the charges are different.
Now, about 20 years ago, I knew an American man who had met a North Korean woman in China. They got married. They came to South Korea. She went through the normal processes, Hanawon, etc. And he said that they would sometimes get threatening phone calls to their house, which was an unlisted number, and it was supposed to be a house that was given to them or at least arranged for them by the National Intelligence Service. And they would get threatening phone calls to the house from people who knew who she was. And he always wondered, he suspected that it was people in the government who were selling the list of phone numbers. This is in the in the Sunshine Policy era. But, maybe it was other defectors who were shopping this information around, right?
Right, potentially under the instruction of the North Korean authorities.
Yeah.
But in cases like this, it's at the end of the day, it's very difficult to figure out what the actual intent was or
Right.
what the actual instruction was until we see the criminal conviction from the court.
So in the case of the woman in her 70s down in Ulsan, I believe?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know how many defectors are down there. But anyway, this is still in the investigation stages, right? So she hasn't
Under
actually
early investigation.
Right. So we may find out more if and when she goes to court.
And we will let you know when that happens.
Yeah, thank you. All right, now we have a second defection story. This is one of the hardest ways every way to defect out of North Korea to South Korea is really difficult. You can either go the very, very long way through China and Southeast Asia, or if you're really brave, you can try and go overland through the minefields, through the demilitarized zone. Or if you're a really strong swimmer, and a lot of people aren't, I'm not, you can try and get across the Han River estuary into South Korea. And we've got somebody who's done that just recently.
Right. It's a North Korean man who swam across the maritime border that you mentioned near South Korea's Kyorong Island, which is Incheon.
I've been there.
Yeah,
in the Han River estuary.
Recently.
There's a great lookout point there right over into North Korea with a little... what do you call it? A coffee shop in a van or a bus.
Right. You can look at it from, I think, Ganghwa Observatory. You can see Kyorong Island and you can see North Korean land a little bit as well. And this wasn't this month, it was late last month. So we are actually seeing a lot of uptick in either defection stories or inter-Korean stories. Anything border related, we are seeing an uptick of the stories recently. And this is the second apparent defection under Lee Jae-myung administration, which is quite new. So this is interesting.
How did he get across the water? I mean, did he have a raft or some sort of a flotation device?
It looks like it was an individual that was found near the neutral zone of the Han River estuary and handed over to the relevant authorities. It's unclear if he or she had the device or anything that we saw before, but the defense ministry told on K News that this person likely simply drifted in through the water.
Wow, that is it's really, really... He's lucky, I guess.
It's dangerous.
It is. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Steve Tharp, whom you know, he's been on the podcast before. He talked about how in the 1980s he would regularly go to the Han River estuary and they would find dead bodies of North Korean soldiers who had turned up. And it wasn't always clear whether they'd intentionally jumped into the water or if in floodwaters in the summertime they'd been swept away.
Which also happened recently.
Also happened. So there would constantly be these dead bodies that would turn up and they'd be sometimes in quite a state of decomposition. So this guy is really lucky to be alive.
Right. And also South Korean media, some of them reported that the individual did wear some pieces of styrofoam strap to their body. So it could have been using the devices, which is pretty clear that the intent was to defect.
Right. And the Navy, of course, normally in these situations, when they find someone, they ask them, do you intend to defect? Did he say that he did?
It seems so. And under the joint government investigation and because of that, the authorities wouldn't tell us more about that.
Right. Because not every North Korean that ends up here stays here. Some of them say, no, I want to go back. I came here by accident. And so they get handed back.
Which also happened recently via vote.
Right. That's right. Via boat. So, and then there was also a dead body.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's two defection stories. Let's now talk about the summer Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises.
The successor of Ulchi Freedom Guardian, which changed the name in 2022, I believe. And this year, this is interesting because the annual summertime drill, this is the biggest joint drill between the allies. And under Yoon administration, Yoon used Ulchi Freedom Shield very, very much to show and demonstrate the South Korea-U.S. Combined readiness on specific North Korean threats. They would use specific assets to demonstrate precision strikes and whatnot. But this time around, this is the first summertime drill since Lee Jae-myung administration's inauguration. And also, if you remember, there was a Kim Yo-jong statement that mentioned the drill specifically. And a couple of hours later, the unification minister said, I will suggest to the president that we should scale down this year's summertime drill. It was very, very quick to actually respond to Kim Yo-jong's statement like that. And this...
It doesn't, politically, that's sending all the wrong messages, right?
Yeah.
There are already people here in the PPP and other parties right of center who believe that Jong Dong-yong is just simply taking his instructions straight from North Korea. And,
I know.
And, this this doesn't help.
He could have said it quietly behind the closed doors.
Right.
That's totally fine to make suggestions, not to the public and in the press room to journalists, right? But he did that anyways.
Boy.
And then this happens. And the way that the South Korean, the U.S. military authorities, the spokespersons of JCS and South Korea JCS and USFK, when they did a joint briefing, they said, we will adjust 20 out of 40 field training exercises to September because of heat wave. But that's kind of awkward because
so they're putting
this
down
week,
the heat, yeah.
It's not that hot.
No, it's nice walking around outside. It was 27 or something degrees yesterday.
Yeah, it's past Ipchu, which is the entrance of the fall, of as seasonal changes. So it's not that hot. So I'm not sure what the government will say now. But then after the military authorities explain it's because of the heat wave, it's because of maintaining highest quality possible of the operations, blah, blah, blah. And then, also, again, a couple hours later, the Unification Ministry high-level official spoke to journalists saying, I believe this adjustment is for peace on the Korean Peninsula, in line with what the minister asked Lee to consider. So the Unification Ministry and the Defense Ministry are not in lockstep right now.
So we have some very, very mixed messaging coming out there. Is the Combined Forces Command saying anything, or UNC?
There was a General Brunson statement related to other issues, not the UFS, just general alliance posture, but not specifically about the drills.
And we should point out that North Korea has done its own military drills around this time, so it's not like they're sitting on their heels doing nothing. They're out there conducting military drills involving mortar firing and other such activities. So
right, and so because of considering those threats that always exist, the exercise, it's 11-day. It will mostly proceed as scheduled according to the JCS in a scale similar to last year's, involving approximately 18,000 South Korean troops and the U.S. forces as well. And any field training exercises, I believe, that involve the already scheduled U.S. assets and U.S. troops, they will go ahead without postponement. But the rest will be in September.
Okay. And then we've got also inter-Korean issues, loudspeakers. Now, around the time I think that I went on vacation back in June, South Korea had turned off its loudspeakers. North Korea responded a day later by doing the same. And now they're both sides are taking them apart.
Yeah, so North Korea is doing a very passive tit-for-tat reciprocal actions to what Lee Jae-myung administration is trying to do and frame as risk management. After the loudspeakers were turned off shortly after inauguration, the physical loudspeakers have been dismantling on the South Korean side. And this is for the first time in decades. So this is actually a big deal. And it appears that North Korean side is also removing their side of the loudspeakers as well.
And for listeners who may not have seen this before, it's not like single loudspeakers sitting there. I mean, these are banks or arrays of multiple speakers.
20.
Stacked up or next to each other in a large bank or array. So it's you can't just pick it up and move it. You need to dismantle it. And so hopefully they're being put in storage somewhere for when they're next needed.
Potentially, because there are two types of loudspeakers. One is the type that you just explained, how they have to actually actively dismantle. And there's another type, which is newer, which is a transportable one that kind of looks like a multiple rocket launcher, but it's a loudspeaker.
Okay. Wow. Now, I think I saw something just a few days before that said that North Korea was actually expanding its loudspeaker arrays. So what's going on there?
Yes, you're right. There were increased setup of the loudspeaker along the inter-Korean border on the North Korean side, although no extra propaganda broadcasts have been aired through that. But the Defense Ministry did confirm to NK News at the time that there were increased number at the time.
Wow. Okay. Now, I mean, these things, they happen time and again, but they're temporary fixes, aren't they?
Yeah, so apparently the expansion was not exactly after Lee Jae-myung administration inaugurated. So it was in May and June. So it kept, my guess is that it was part of the plan under the Yoon administration when the North Korean side was building everything alongside the land border, including the anti-tank wall.
Yes.
Maybe this was part of the scheduled plan. But then now that the administration changed and the posture changed on the South Korean side, they are taking it down after expanding them.
Now, from the South Korean side, the kind of propaganda that was being sent was, I mean, it wasn't always political messaging, right? I mean, some of it was was a bit of music, bit of news, bit of weather, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I went down to the border with Chad, I think last year sometime, to check out what they actually would air. Some of them were framed as information, but with a slight rhetorical framing of how Seoul is very, very great government to share this information to the people. Even when they're talking about weather, they would say, oh, if you're a worker, construction worker working outside, your employer should not be letting you working outside, and you should be careful about the heat-related diseases.
Right.
So they would frame information like that.
And North Korea, on the other hand, was doing mainly what? Weird noises, weren't they?
Right. South Korean media framed it as a ghost sound. So it was like it's unidentified type of sound that is just howling sound all night.
So it's not verbal, there's no message there. It's just to really get people, to rattle people to
near the border.
Near the border, right. Mostly the local residents there. Okay, well, that's where we'll leave it for today. Thank you, Jeongmin, for coming on the show and walking us through the latest news.
And happy birthday, Jacco.
Thank you.
Looking to stay informed about South Korea's fast-evolving political, business and cultural landscape? Join us on Korea Pro, the go-to resource for in-depth analysis expertly curated by top-tier professionals. And now you can pick the membership level that best suits your needs, thanks to our new subscription packages. Starting at just $199 annually, you can access daily analysis and our weekly podcast. Or try our premium membership package, which offers additional perks such as executive briefings, monthly reports and forecasts, networking receptions and event opportunities, as well as much, much more. To find the best fit for you, just head to signup.koreapro.org and become a member today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our podcast episode for today. Our thanks go to Brian Betts and Alana Hill for facilitating this episode, and to our post-recording producer genius Gabby Magnuson, who cuts out all the extraneous noises, awkward silences, bodily functions, and fixes the audio levels. Thank you, and listen again next time.